do this. I haven't done it for so long. All right, here we go. All right, you guys should be able to see my screen now. I can't see anything because it's so bright here. Here we go. Okay. Someone can see my screen, right?
No. Yeah.
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 Beautiful. So I didn't hear that. This week the assignment is all about evaluating a piece of rhetoric. We've done analyzing rhetoric in terms of finding speaker, audience, purpose in the past. So what I just want to start off by thinking, well, what does evaluate mean? You can write this in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself. And what does evaluate mean? Or what are some words that mean the same thing as evaluate? And maybe the picture on the screen will help you here. All right, so Khalid said it's to give someone a score or to rate someone. Yeah, something similar to that, right? You know, you look on a show like American Idol, and they have judges who evaluate the contestants, right? They give them a score to see how good, how talented they are. So evaluate really just means to assess something, right? It is an idea, but it's more, think of it in terms of a verb. When you do assignments for me, I evaluate them, right? I give you a grade. I assess how much you've accomplished the skill that I'm assessing, okay? So that's really what evaluate means, just to assess something. And so when we think about evaluating a rhetorical appeal, what we're thinking about is how effective, judge, good one, Mohammed, how effective is this piece of rhetoric at achieving its objective? Right. So say we're looking at a piece of rhetoric which is an ad, which is trying to sell us Nike shoes, for example. If we're trying to evaluate that piece of rhetoric, we're trying to think about how persuasive is that piece of rhetoric. All right, so that's really what we're thinking about here. So we're going to look at this example, and this is a product which was sold on TV about, I want to say about 8 years ago. This thing called Slap Chop. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of one or has one in their kitchen. I actually bought one. And this product made a lot of money for this company. All right, so they advertised it on TV, and it made like $200 million just from this commercial. So many people bought it. Over 1 million people apparently bought this thing, including myself. So this is obviously a very effective piece of rhetoric because so many people bought this product, right? That was the purpose of the rhetoric. So what I want us to think about is, what makes this piece of rhetoric so effective? How is this person, on the ad, persuading us to buy this product? So let me just, whoops. Let me just play this ad.
Hi, it's Vince with Slap Chop. You're going to be in a great mood all day because you're going to be slapping your troubles away with the Slap Chop. Now look, here's a potato. One slap, you got big chunks for stews. 2 slaps, home fries in a second. And look at this. When you add a mushroom, the more you do it, the finer it gets. You have to switch any grades. You love salad. You hate making it. Take the stringy celery, take the carrots, salad. I love pizza too, but once in a while, get the veggies in. At least throw it on top of the pizza. This tuna looks boring. Stop having a boring tuna. Stop having a boring life. Here's a hard-boiled egg. One chop, you add the pickle, you add the green onion. And then what you can do, you can mix things together. You add the ham. You don't have time to make breakfast. You're going to have an exciting life now. Breakfast to go. You're going to love my nuts. Watch this. You can do everything in the cover. It's so easy. One finger. Kids can do it. They're going to charge you $1 for toppings at the ice cream stores. What about fruit? Put a mango. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful on your ice cream? It's so easy to clean. 1, 2. And pops open the clean. Now, these other ones, bacteria gets in the food. You can't open this up. It's worthless. Forget about it. Now, take the Slap Chop. All right, here's the garlic with the skin. There you go. These skin is the garlic. the onions with the skin. All right, this is making you cry, making me cry. Life's hard enough as it is. You don't want to cry anymore. The skin's at the bottom. Hey, look, if you want a little bit of onions, you don't want to drag out the food processor, the skin comes right off. We're gonna make America skinny again, one slap at a time. When you buy the slap chop, we're gonna give you the grady for cheese. White cheese, yellow cheese, in the container. Comes with a twister. And watch this, tacos, fettuccine, linguine, martini, bikini. Comes with 2 blades, just bang it. Cheese comes right out, fine and coarse. Parmesan comes with a cover, stays sealed. Put it in the fridge, take it out when you need it. The slap chop sells for $19.95, but if you call now, within the next 20 minutes, because you know we can't do this all day, you're gonna get the grady absolutely free. Just pay for processing. Here's how to order.
So I actually bought this product, and 2 things they don't tell you when they show this commercial is, one, it doesn't work because the blades are not very sharp, and the second thing is when it says you just have to pay for the shipping actually costs as much as the actual product itself. So not a great product, but this guy, you know, really sold it to people. So if you could write in the chat, how is this person persuading us to buy what is essentially just a glorified knife? All right, so Khalid says, it shows examples of how it works. Right, yeah, this is basically just a demonstration of how this product works. But, you know, we see a lot of ads where they're just demonstrating how something works, but they don't sell as many as this thing does. So what else is this guy doing? Ashley says, shows how to use it. It bowls out the word free, right? Yeah, right at the end of the commercial, right? He says how this thing, you get something for free, right? So you don't just get this slap chop thing, but you get this thing called the grady. Also does not work, but yeah, whatever. So Nathan says he's confident, right? Introducing a different product that would be thrown in for free, right? Yeah, everyone likes getting free stuff, right? So you think you're getting a good deal here. His tone, right? So Bida also picked up on his tone. He's very enthusiastic, right? He's throwing things around. He's having a good time. Melissa says it's making it look way easier. Yes. So one of the things about this product is, right, normally if you're trying to, I don't know if anyone's ever tried to mince garlic, but it is hard because you've got to take the end off, you've got to peel it and stuff. So this making it seem like you can do things very easily and quickly because everyone doesn't have time, right? And it's using pathos, yes, because we get that from the tone, right? It's very exciting. He's making it seem like this is a great thing. He's very happy. As Saita says, he's very enthusiastic. He's only talking about the good things. Yep. And then Khalid says, yes, good point, Khalid. He says he compares it to other products. Right. So another thing he does is he compares it to other products which are not as good. Right. So he's doing lots of things in this basically 1.5, 2 minutes. Right. And we could say he's using ethos, pathos, and logos. Right. We've got pathos because it's this exciting tone. Right. He's making us happy, making us want to get this thing. Ethos because he's asking us to trust him that it's going to work and showing us a demonstration. And then lastly, logos because he gives us some facts about how this thing works. It's actually an argument, really, a rational argument, but also tells us the price, right? And compares it to other products. Angeli says, shows how to use it, being confident, yeah, and how it's better than other products, yeah. So he's using lots of different strategies here to make us buy this product. So it's appealing to lots of different customers in lots of different ways. And that makes a very effective piece of rhetoric. Okay, so, oops,
Hi.
my bad. What I want us to think about when we're evaluating a piece of rhetoric is really 2 things, right? On the one hand, you want a piece of rhetoric that has many different kinds of rhetorical strategies. So just like in that ad where it had ethos, pathos, logos, you want a balanced combination of those things, right? You want to be appealing to lots of different people in lots of different ways. But at the same time, I want to focus on this word balanced because sometimes if you just have an ad and it's just relying on just one of these strategies, then it's not going to be as effective. And let me give you an example. So maybe some of you will remember this little dude, Otis, right? And we saw this, I think, very early on in this unit. We were talking about how this was an example of pathos because it makes us feel sad for this dog, right? But they've actually done studies on this kind of ad, where it really relies on pathos to get its purpose across. And it turns out that when people see too many of these ads, they stop really watching them anymore. They kind of turn off or they turn over because they realize that they're being manipulated, that this ad is actually trying to control how they feel about stuff. And so after a while, an ad like this that maybe works the first couple of times loses its effectiveness over time. And it becomes less effective and less effective at fulfilling its purpose. Okay. You've probably seen those ads where I think it's like for famine in Africa, where this sad music comes on. As soon as that sad music comes on, they've actually done studies where people just like turn the channel over because they know that what's going to happen, right? People are basically going to try and make them feel sad, and then they turn over because people don't want to feel sad forever, right? Okay, so when we're looking at rhetorical strategies, we want a balanced combination. Not too much ethos, not too much pathos, not too much logos, a little bit of all of them, right? And that will make for an effective rhetorical strategy, just like we saw in the slap chop ad. So when you're evaluating a piece of rhetoric, you want to think to yourself, how many rhetorical strategies are being used? Are they using ethos, pathos, and logos? Are they just using two? Is that enough for what they're trying to do? Are they using a balanced combination? Are they trying to manipulate yourself? So is there too much pathos here that you feel that your feelings are being manipulated? Because that's not going to be so effective over time. Is the person knowledgeable about their subject, right? We want ethos in our piece of rhetoric, but if the person who is supposed to be the speaker for ethos is not someone who is very knowledgeable about their subject, we're not going to trust them. So they may be using ethos, but it's not going to be, if it's not someone we trust, it's not going to be very effective. And then lastly, if we're thinking about the logos in an ad, we want to think about, well, are these reliable facts? Is this reliable evidence? What are the sources for these facts? What are the sources for this evidence? Okay, and then lastly, you want to think about, well, does this speaker or does this ad persuade me personally? All right, if it's an ad for trying to sell you something, would you buy it? How many people would have bought that slap chop? Some of you, maybe, I don't know. I did. I'm a sucker for things on TV. So those are things to think about when we're looking for how persuasive, how effective a piece of rhetoric is. All right, so I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at this week's assignment. If you did, you're going to be like, Mr. Wick, why are you giving us such a long thing to read? It's 2 and a bit pages. I apologize for that, but it's kind of an easy read. So in this assignment, which is 5.4, it's President Biden's speech. This was from about a month ago, not even a month ago. And there's a speech he gave on the first anniversary of COVID basically hitting America. And if you read that speech, there are certain things that I want us to think about. I'm not going to play it. The whole speech itself is about half an hour long. I only gave you a certain portion of that speech. I'm not actually going to play it. I'm going to go through to this next section. Okay, so I don't know if anybody had a chance to read it yet. If you read it, you'll see that the president is trying to do certain things. and he's trying to persuade us in different ways. So the first thing I want us to think about is, what is the president trying to persuade us to do? So I've isolated a couple of passages from the text on your screen. I'll read them. You can read them on your own. And then I want you to write in chat, what is the president trying to persuade us to do? It's not just one thing here. So the president says, in the coming weeks, we will issue further guidance on what you can and cannot do once fully vaccinated to lessen the confusion, to keep people safe and encourage more people to get vaccinated. And finally, fifth, and maybe most importantly, I promise I will do everything in my power. I will not relent until we beat this virus, but I need you, the American people, I need you. I need every American to do their part. And that's not hyperbole. I need you to get vaccinated when it's your turn and when you can find an opportunity, and to help your family, your friends, your neighbors get vaccinated as well, because here's the point. All right, so in that section, what is President Biden trying to persuade us to do?
To try to get vaccinated?
Yeah, he wants people to get vaccinated, right? So right there, I need you, the American people, I need every American to do their part. So one of the things he wants us to do is to get vaccinated. Okay, but let's think about something else he wants us to do. So let me read the second passage. That's why we got the vaccine publicly in front of cameras for the world to see, so you could see us do it. The First Lady and Second Gentleman also got vaccinated. Talk to your families, friends, neighbors, the people you know best have gotten the vaccine. We need everyone to get vaccinated. All right, we know that. Also, we need everyone to keep washing their hands, stay socially distanced, and keep wearing a mask as recommended by the CDC. Even if we devote every resource we have, beating this virus and getting back to normal depends on national unity. And national unity isn't just how politicians vote in Washington, what the loudest voices say on cable or online. Unity is what we do together as fellow Americans. Because if we don't stay vigilant and the conditions change, then we may have to reinstate restrictions to get back on track. Please, we don't want to do that again. We've made so much progress. So he does want people to get vaccinated, but what else does he want people to do? What else does he want people to do? Gerardo, yeah, hopefully we'll finish in about 10 minutes. So get vaccinated, and then there's one or two other things we could say he wants people to do. You can write it in chat, or you can just say it.
To keep people safe.
Right, to keep people safe, and how we do that is, as Tayeb says, follow the CDC recommendations, right? He says we need to keep everyone washing their hands, stay socially distanced, and keep wearing a mask. It's not just as simple as people getting vaccinated. Some people think, oh, as soon as I get vaccinated, that's it, I'm safe. It doesn't matter about everyone else. I can just go out without a mask on, and I'll be fine, right? But he's not saying that, right? He's saying those people who get vaccinated, they still got to follow all the recommendations, such as keeping socially distanced. Simone says, yeah, so people get vaccinated, follow the safety precautions. And what about where he says, unity is what we do together as fellow Americans? What does that mean? What's he trying to say there?
To unite?
Yeah. Yeah. And as Nathan says, he's encouraging people to stay strong. But really, this is a mess. What he's saying, I think, is that this virus doesn't just affect some people. This virus affects all of us, right? And the only way of beating this virus is if we all stay together. Okay, so it's not okay if people who get vaccinated or some people in other parts of the country don't continue to follow the CDC recommendations, right? Everyone should try and get vaccinated, yeah. Everyone should also keep following the recommendations, Everyone should see themselves as part of this same effort, right? Because we're all, at the end of the day, part of the same country, right? So those are what he's trying to persuade Americans to do. So that's the purpose of this piece of rhetoric, right? And then you got to think about this speech uses lots of different ways to persuade us. So how is this section persuading us? So this is a section from the beginning of his speech. He says, I know it's been hard. I truly know. As I've told you before, I carry a card in my pocket with a number of Americans who have died from COVID to date. It's on the back of my schedule. As of now, total deaths in America, 527,726. That's more deaths than in World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, and 9/11 combined. And when you watch his speech, he actually pulls this card out of his pocket. It's a little dramatic moment. So is this ethos, pathos, or logos? So Melissa says,
I think it's ethos.
So
it's a mixture of like pathos and ethos. I mean, pathos and logos. My bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, go on. I couldn't hear that, but one person, I think it was Simone, said it's a kind of a mixture of pathos and logos, and that's something that I would agree about, right?
That was
Who was that?
it. Was me.
Oh, it was you. Sorry. So it's not just so you know we have the logos because we have this fact about how many people have died, right? But it's also pathos because that number, the people who've died, is making us feel something, right? It's making us feel sad, and that's achieving its purpose, right? He wants us to feel sad. He wants us to think about all the people who've died. And then we get a little bit more logos here because he puts it in context, right? The number of people who've died is more than in 3 wars and 9/11 combined. Kind of crazy to think about. Okay, so that is some logos, some pathos. What about this section? I'll read it. Look, we know what we need to do to beat this virus. Tell the truth, follow the scientists and the science, work together, put trust and faith in our government to fulfill its most important function, which is protecting the American people. No function more important. We need to remember the government isn't some foreign force in a distant capital. No, it's us, all of us, we the people. What's that? Ethos, pathos, or logos?
Ethos.
Why is it ethos?
It mentions people that a lot of people would like trust, like scientists and the government.
Exactly. Thanks, Sergey. Yeah. He's asking us to put trust in science, right? Follow the scientists and the science, right? So it's asking us to trust and faith in our government, right? So that is obviously an example of ethos. And then I think there's one more I wanted to, no, that's not it. So if you read this speech and try and read the whole thing, you'll see examples of ethos, pathos, and logos. Okay, and when you write up your evaluation, okay, you want to mention at least two. I want to mention about how he's using at least two of those different types of rhetorical device. And now I want to show you how to write an evaluation. So this is for a different ad, and I'll just play the ad quickly. It's very short. And this ad is about, well, you can see. So this is an ad about seatbelt safety, right? And let's try and think about how we would evaluate such an ad. So what rhetorical devices do we get in this ad? Do we get any ethos? You can write it in the chat if you like, or you can just say. Let me rephrase. What rhetorical strategy do you see in this ad?
Pathos.
Pathos, right? Because making us feel sad. But we don't really get any ethos, and we don't really get any logos, right? So if we were to evaluate this piece of rhetoric, we might write something like this. So when you're writing your assignment for this week, you're going to use basically the kind of structure you used last week when you did the assignment on analyzing a piece of rhetoric. So the first part of your paragraph is going to be just analysis of what's happening in the piece of rhetoric. And then you're going to add on at the end, which is this section in blue, how effective the piece of rhetoric is. So what you want to think about is how many rhetorical strategies are being used. Does this persuade you? Are they using a rhetorical strategy in a way which is not very effective? For example, if it's making us feel too emotional. And think about ways in which it could be made more effective. So in this ad, right? Oops, let me get that back again. Sorry. I structured it at the beginning just as we did when we were talking about analyzing a piece of rhetoric. In the seatbelt ad, Naval Center, Safety Center attempts to persuade drivers and passengers to wear seatbelts in order to save their own lives. The ad uses pathos to advance the persuasive appeal because it uses heartbreaking imagery to show the potential consequences of not wearing a seatbelt. Then I give an example. For example, the ad immediately opens up with the horrific image and sound of a car crash, then shows a car filled with passengers and a driver whose souls are leaving their dead bodies. However, one passenger survives due to his wearing a seatbelt. The ad shows him hyperventilating, which means like breathing quickly. As he realizes he's still alive, the ad closes its emotional appeal as he clutches his seatbelt while haunting music plays and the ad ends. So really here, I'm just describing the speaker, the audience, the purpose, the type of a rhetorical strategy used, and how it's used in the ad. Now, I add on to the end how effective I think this is. And you would just say something like, the ad is effective or not effective in persuading people to wear seatbelts, and then you give a reason, because it uses the horror of a car crash to shock people into considering the consequences of their actions. Right now, this is an ad about seatbelt safety, where the consequences are very bad if you don't wear a seatbelt. And because the consequences are so bad, you probably do want to shock people, right? If you're talking about something that's not so life-threatening, maybe you wouldn't use such shock tactics, okay? But then I say the ad could have been more effective if it had also used logos to give the viewer statistics on how many people die from not wearing seatbelts, right? So this ad really only uses pathos. It's effective because it shows us the consequences in like a very dramatic way. But at the same time, if there'd been a bit at the end saying how many people have died from being in car accidents without wearing seatbelts, maybe it could have been more effective. So when you're writing your piece of analysis about President Biden's speech, you want to start by saying, you know, in the speech, President Biden attempts to persuade, and then think about who the audience is, what he's trying to persuade people to do. We talked about that a little bit, right? Which rhetorical strategy he uses. If you go through the speech, you're going to find examples of ethos, pathos, and logos. Explain how he uses at least two of those devices with specific examples from the text. And then you want to end your paragraph by saying, yeah, this speech is effective or not effective because, and then explain why. Okay. And that's really all you have to do. Any questions?
No.
No, everyone's good? All right, so I'm just going to come out here. So look at the example which is on the assignment where I give you that structure, and you just want to structure your answer in pretty much the same way. All right, so this assignment is due on Friday, and then next week we're going to start on the final assignment, which is analyzing your own piece of rhetoric. Any questions before we go? I know we're a little bit over time. Everyone's good? All right. So if no one has a question or they just want to send me a question in chat, then I will see you guys on Friday. I'm going to have another meeting where we're just going to go over any questions you have about assignments or anything else school related. Andres, if you can stay on the call. Everyone else, I will see you either in school tomorrow or see you in the meeting on Friday. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Have a good day.
Mr. Wang. Have a good day.
Good day.
Mr. Wang.